how long is it going to take me to get to the part where I'm like, okay, you're not as terrible as people made you out to be.
Yeah, cut 10 episodes from both shows. Maybe it'll be better. Hi, this is Juniper.
Hello, this is Elle.
Welcome to our pod. Today we're going to do a 2-for-1 deal. Well, it's because we got 2-for-1 costume dramas from China that just dropped, was it last week? Right? And we decided to check both out. I think there was a bit of anticipation on both. And so today we'll give our first or early impressions of both. So the first show we started checking out was The Princess's Gambit, starring Liu Xueyi and Meng Ziyi. Actually, are their names both E? Interesting. Okay, anyways. And then the second show is A Dream Within a Dream, starring Li Yitong and Dou Yining. Okay. Which one do you want to start with? I mean,
Well,
on paper, right? They're both costume dramas, pretty high production values, starring popular actors and actresses. I think we both went in without high or low expectations. I never seen a trailer for The Princess's Gambit, but I kind of knew the setup, right? I saw a trailer for A Dream Within a Dream, and it looked interesting. And so I had some expectations for that one. I came away, so I pretty much watched an equal amount of number of episodes on both. I went up through episode 8 on The Princess's Gambit, and then I'm now on episode 9, almost 10, I think. Actually, I just started 10, not that I think about it, for A Dream Within a Dream. So comparable.
yeah,
And
I finished the 12th episode for Princess's Gambit, and then I think the 8th episode I finished for A Dream Within a Dream. So we're about the same place.
so I would say that I actually enjoy, well, I actually can't say that I super love either show. They're both okay in my book. But I've actually, for now, paused pursuing The Princess's Gambit because time is a precious and limited resource for all of us. And I don't feel compelled to keep watching. Whereas A Dream Within a Dream, again, I'm not sure I feel like, wow, it's the greatest show ever. But yet, I'm still watching it because I kind of want to see what they do with the story. So there's that curiosity factor, and it is entertaining in bursts.
Yeah. So let me just take a step back, right? So although they're both costume dramas, they're very different genres in terms of plot. So Princess's Gambit is very sort of serious, not thriller, but like it has that political aspect to it, like court politics, between the royal families and all of that. And so it plays on a lot of the more cliche older themes of how these types of stories unfold, and there's almost so like this romance or anti-romance that's happening in the beginning, versus A Dream Within a Dream is a straight up parody of all of these costume dramas. Like, and you
Yes.
actually mentioned like you saw some scenes that you felt were lifted from other dramas, but they made it into like the joke. And
Oh, not lifted.
so
They were definitely directly parodying some very famous, romance, xianxia and historical romance tropes from well-known shows.
yeah. And then there's also a lot of inside jokes about, script writing and it's just like so many funny things. So we won't talk about them at the same time, I think, because I think that would be confusing. So I'll just take another step back and I'll just talk about Princess's Gambit and then we can switch over. But so Princess's Gambit is based on a novel. I looked it up. It was 10 years ago when it came out. So I think that kind of feeds into why this genre is sort of almost a little bit old fashioned. Like I feel like you won't see this type of male lead today in China, but this was written, 10 years ago. And the
Which
male
is
lead
what? What is
sort of
this
like
type?
I told you I feel like he's a sort of a despicable person, right? Like and you didn't like Xueyi, like menacing grimace or whatever it is,
Oh,
like the
I should
menacing
clarify.
smiles. Yeah.
I have no issue with his male lead, the persona. I just don't like
Mm.
Lo Xueyi playing this man. I don't. I think a lot of people who like Lo Xueyi loves it when he's this like madman, like menacing
Mm-hmm.
crazy guy with the evil smile. I don't go for that on him. I not say this. I was like, oh, you know what? The two or three shows where I actually thought I liked Lo Xueyi, now that I think about it, was when he was a helpless dolt, or
Yeah.
like very innocent, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not when he's playing these like super wily, menacing, gray characters.
Yes. So
I
this is
think
a
he's
very
too.
morally.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think I told you, I find it too theatrical the way he plays them. People would say he's a great actor, but I
Mm-hmm.
say it feels to me like, what did I say? I said it's like watching Laurence Olivier on the screen, right? He was a great theater actor. I did not enjoy, and a lot of people did not enjoy Olivier as a screen actor. In fact, I said the only Olivier role where he's a leading man that I actually enjoyed without feeling like, oh my god, this is still theatrical, was his Max de Winter in Rebecca. But that in that one,
Mm.
he's like the quiet, right, morose widower that she meets
Mm-hmm.
with a
So
secret.
I will say by episode 10, the theatrics kind of get downplayed a little bit. I will okay, so my take on this, I think I texted you. My take on this character that he's playing reminds me very much of like those 1980s, 1990s like bodice ripper romance novels where like the guy sometimes is actually quite terrible. Like you don't and you're like, how is this girl gonna like fall in love with him if you know it's a romance? And he's actually really despicable in the novel, the original source, which is
Mm-hmm.
in the first chapter, he basically got her kidnapped. She was supposed to marry a prince. She's a princess from another country. She was supposed to, it was an arranged marriage, but he kidnaps her and like somehow, I think he drugged her or I don't know, she's drugged. So she's like lusty and he rapes her. And so they change it obviously in the drama. Like I one of the criticism I had for the first episode is that they were overcompensating how she would marry him without showing that, right? Like to make this more palatable because it's a very disturbing scene. And so they have this like whole drawn out scenario. And you're like, so the first episode, you're feeling like, what happened? Like, oh, okay, she tricked him or coerced the emperor to allow her to marry him. So it actually changes the dynamics a lot as
Mm-hmm.
it continues for me when I'm watching it because he's like very paranoid about her and wary. Like, why does she want to marry me? Because and he has like multiple wives already. He has a main wife and two concubines. So she, as a princess, was like, I'm fine being a concubine, which he was like, well, that's really strange. So that's the beginning of the drama. And in the novel, he deflowered her or
So
whatever.
she
So
has
then
to marry him,
she
basically.
has to marry him. And
Yeah.
so the dynamics there are played out differently. And then
Yeah, and that would have been, I guess we're not as politically sensitive or correct, right? Because we're older. That would have been
mhm.
fine with me if they went that route. Hearing you say that, a thought occurred to me. Maybe the reason I'm not loving the show and it doesn't feel like I need to go on, it's fine as a show. It's just not great, right? It doesn't stand out from the pack, is because it has no teeth for me, at least based on the 8 episodes. And now that you mentioned how they kind of like blunted the first episode, kind of how they got together, that might be why. Like, it just feels like, what did I say? I think I even texted you this. It feels like a lot of Sturm und Drang,
Yeah.
like the German term, like
Mhm.
noise, theatrics. But then when it comes down to actually taking action that mattered, nothing consequential happens, right? Remember, I said one of the first texts I sent you because I started the show by you, I think, was she should be dead by now. Why is she
Yeah.
not dead? Right?
Right.
Like that makes no
Yes.
sense to me. Not because they
Right.
wish death upon her, but they make it so like he's persistently like out to get her and he can't, and she's like fending for her life, outsmarting. I'm like, she should be dead. Right? She
Yeah.
does not strike me as super smart. She might be super lucky, which is also something very like no teeth, right? Like she does not there's nothing to substantiate how smart she is other than luck. Right?
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
like,
Yes. I did have that criticism because like they show the backstories and she was like this helpless princess because her mother was I don't know if the mother was an empress, but there's a main empress, and she's not the daughter of the main empress, and that's why she
Mm-hmm.
was basically sent away to spy on this other country, so to
Mm-hmm.
infiltrate. And so when you're watching this, you're like, it's kind of weird because they made her look really helpless, and but suddenly, like in the new land, she's like, she has all her quick wits with her.
Right.
She has
Right.
photographic memory.
Right.
She
One
she
minute
can
she's like running away from the soldiers with her idiotic little brother who can't seem to not knock over all scaffolds at all times, right? Like, and the next minute she's like, I can do this. I will
Yeah,
take
she's like
everyone
Sherlock
on.
Holmes, you know, like she's solving and investigating things with the male lead. And you're like, wait. So I hear you. I hear you. And I wish I had time to read the novel further because I wanted to see how much of it got adapted versus put in their own spin on it because I have heard people really did like the main leads in the novel. Like this was highly
Mm.
anticipated because this was a popular novel. And as much as you say you didn't like this kind of unsavory character, that at least the way Xueyi is playing it,
It's yeah, it's not
um,
the character, it's the way his theatrical interpretation of it that I have.
yes, 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 I understand. I think for me, like I'm okay with it, and so like when you're watching, the main part for me was like is the chemistry as well, right? Because ultimately this is
Mm-hmm.
a romance with all
Yes.
this backstory. I I don't know if they have it quite there. I told you I wish
Mm.
they so in the story he's supposed to be 30 and she's 18. She's an 18-year-old princess. But I feel like here they cast actors that are closer in age, and I feel like that actually also changed the dynamic because she comes off almost a little matronly for me when I watch her, and I'm like, you
Really?
kind yeah, for me. And this is my first time watching her. You know, she's very pretty, but I like the way their dynamic works. You don't get the power struggle, which I think was also how it was portrayed in the novel, right? Like you have the age gap, he has the upper hand, but then she always survives, and I feel like you don't get that as much. But anyways, I'm nitpicking, but so for me, I got up to episode 12 and I was telling you that by the episode 10th, I felt like everyone is less extreme, right? There's like the characters are a little bit less one-dimensional, like caricature of villainous male lead versus, smart
Mm-hmm.
alecky female lead. Like I feel like they're now kind of like they've calmed down. They're getting to know each other. There's still misunderstandings, they're still wary of each other, but there's a little bit more trust, like trust got built into the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Um and the side characters, some of them were kind of annoying in the beginning, like but now they've also toned down a little bit. So I feel like
Even
I
the
don't know if
annoying
they
sister. That
yes,
was
even the
another
yes,
nail in the coffin. Like once the sister got introduced, I'm like, oh my god. Right?
yes,
Like,
because like no brain, like so brainless, right?
oh
Causing
no.
trouble.
And then there was that kid, I think in episode 8, they meet in the woods. I was just like, oh my
The little
god,
girl,
so
she's
annoying.
okay. She's
But
okay. She
you get what I'm saying, right? Like I
yeah,
feel like the casting or the directing for the acting directing was such that it became over the top. Over the
yes.
top, not like overacting, but like theatrical is what I'm saying. I guess
Yes.
for lack of a better word.
Yes. And I want to take a step back with the aesthetics. Aesthetically, it's a very beautiful show, and I feel like the director definitely overindulged. He overindulged on the sets, the lighting, the
The
extreme
music,
close-up shots, yeah, you
right?
mentioned the music, and
It's
probably like you said, the
intrusive.
acting. I'm sure that came from the director. It cannot be everyone is
Oh,
doing this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure the director wanted this the way it's been
are you
delivered.
sure? Are you sure?
Because it's consistently across the board. It can't like if it was at this point like you still see like half the cast acting a certain way and the other half
Wait,
had
blame the director.
some
Just blame
people
the
do.
director.
I mean, I'm not blaming him. I think it's a high it looks like a very high production value show. And so for me when I watch it, like I said, it's very beautiful. Like I like the beginning where and then this was not in the novel, but when they show the male lead like kind of like puttering around his like he's carving this wooden three-dimensional art on the wall or like in his garden. Like I was like, oh, that's very interesting. Like those are things that I don't think about in terms of ancient Chinese culture. But like yeah, it makes sense. Like men of like who have money, who have education would like do this kind of thing as a pastime, right? Like as a hobby. And I thought like those are small touches that make the production very rich to look at. But aside from that, yeah, there's some crazy stuff happening, and the female lead definitely has too much luck on her side. Like she has, well, you know, plot armor as you called it, and you just have to kind of, if you don't like that kind of setup, this is not the show for you. But if you're like, I can wing through this to see how the story progresses. For me, I stuck with it, and then I'm at the point where like, okay, the story is finally kicking in, like the story behind what he's after and then what she's after. Because in the beginning it was still very unclear. They don't tell you explicitly what they're after, but now I'm like, okay, I now know what their goals are, and then they have not shared it with each other, so there's still going to be probably some misunderstanding, but I'm okay with that. And then it's like it's more fun to watch now.
Mm. I just looked up the director on my drama list. If it is correct, I've never heard of this guy, but he's made quite a few shows. Should it be concerning that, you know, some of his shows are like Glory of the Special Forces or Overdue? Maybe that is it. That is representative of
I
his
don't know what
style.
those are.
Actually,
What are-
Overdue, I think, is the upcoming one. I told you there was like a whole controversy about billing order with Zhang Linghe and Wang Churan.
oh,
So we should watch that when it comes out just to see if there's like intrusive you know, background
yeah.
music and weird camera angles and way too intense for no reason, you know, acting and cutting. So anyways,
Did you say Lucia, you made a joke about the lighting or the shadows on his
yes,
face?
yes. People, I think, were making fun of all the shadow shots, and he's like, actually, both of my faces are actually okay, like photogenic.
Both
Like,
sides of my face, right?
yeah, yeah, you can
Yeah,
shoot both
yeah.
sides. It's not just the one side. Anyways, you want to switch gears now to the other show?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had said I basically paused, right, because of all the reasons, and I maybe if I had kept going like you did on the Princess Gambit, it would have given me a reason to go on. But I did not go on, and until you tell me some other miraculous turn of events happens, I will keep pausing for now. That does not mean, of course, I find that A Dream Within a Dream to be the best show ever. What I will say is that it has really what did I say? It feels just like the Princess's Gambit. The similarity between the two shows we observed is both very slow to get to the point.
Yes.
Usually, a
Mhm.
show takes like 2 to 4 episodes. You're like, oh, you slog through the first 4 episodes. You're like, okay, now I get it, right? The characters are
Mhm.
established. You get where this is going. You care. I would say that on both shows, I couldn't care about the
Yeah.
characters. But with A Dream Within a Dream, you could sort of understand why, because it's going too hard for the witty parody for the first 6 to 8 episodes. To the where you're starting to go, where is this going? Like, what's the point of the story, right? But
Well,
then you have to, I think, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say you should explain the story.
Oh,
What
it's
is
just
it?
basically an actress transmigrates or falls into the script, right, of the story that she's going to shoot. That's it,
Yep.
basically.
Yep. Yep.
And so she kind of goes along with it, having no plot, and wants to kind of avoid disaster and live like ping life in Chinese terms, which is like a easygoing life, right? She wants to be rich, live a comfortable existence, marry the right guy who is her original fiance, avoid the fate of the actual script that she had read for the female lead, which is like keeps getting killed and revived to be like made into like I think a zombie or something. It
Well,
was
it
kind
was like
of like
a
ridiculous.
it was a I think the original ending was like the love triangle murder. Like each person kills the other person, and then
Was that
like
the ending or was that they don't
yes.
even... Oh, that was the
Remember?
ending.
Remember
Okay.
they were sitting in the like the film studio, whatever.
Ye-
So like
Yes.
Liu Ying plays like this, I guess, very A-list heartthrob, and he's not even speaking. His agent's doing all the talking, and then the
Yes.
scriptwriter, the director, they're all talking about the original ending. So the three leads, like the love triangle, they all stab each other. And they form a literal triangle,
But
and
it
then
makes no sense because even in the script, there are other places where she dies and the other guy dies, second male lead. So
Yeah, I think it's implied they had to rewrite the script, but she was also reading multiple different versions of the script, I think, because she was trying to
Okay.
get into her character. But anyways, yeah, I mean,
It's
so when
not
you watch
important right
this,
now.
it's not important. I think, but I wanted to, the foundation for that, it was why I actually really enjoyed it in the beginning because they start off sort of in the real world and you see like
Mm-hmm.
her life. She's not a very successful actress. She hasn't made it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And her male lead, the actor, is like super popular, super A-list. And so when she falls into the script, I mean, I don't think she disliked him, but she disliked the character that he was playing. And so she was determined to like avoid him and not be involved with him. And as you're watching it, I mean, in the beginning, it was really hilarious because they were doing all kinds of these things where, like, she was trying to change the script so that she kept getting killed or these calamities and they would reset her. But, at some point they transitioned it. So I mean, there are some problems you and I talked about, like, how does this work, right? Because, like, why does she not try to leave this land and why does she think marrying him will lead to this versus with the second male lead who you actually do not like?
No.
Um, yeah, you found him. Why don't you like him? You think he's just annoying or
Kind of annoying and righteous,
insincere?
right? Righteous.
Mm,
So it's become so as I get further, and you already started to see, I think the show starts turning to more heart. So it lacks heart at the beginning. It's all about comedy, and it feels like
yes.
one set piece to the other, right? And everything in between just doesn't really matter. And you goes like, okay, it's like a framework for you to have great witty parodies of certain things, right? Or make a commentary in a comedic way, in a big splash, which is very entertaining in the moment, but the story that's narratively cohesive make. But starting around 6 to 7 or 8, when the Lo Yining's character's alter ego comes out, right? Because he has a
Yeah.
hidden identity, and then the whole band of like brothers, right? The bandits.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when for me it turned because it kind of humanized him, right? Because he
Yeah.
was a paper villain for the very. He
Mm-hmm.
did try to kill her, just like Lo Xueyi kills like
Yeah, we
Yoshi.
were saying both dramas, the male lead keeps trying to kill the female lead unsuccessfully.
Yes,
And
except
the
it's much more
emperors,
fun.
they
But yes,
both the same actor plays the
yes,
emperor in both dramas.
yes, and that guy always plays a villain, so I'm waiting for both emperors to be villainous for some reason. Anyways,
Right now he's still kind of like an okay
right?
emperor. Yeah, yeah.
In which one? In the Lo Xueyi one? Maybe in the Princess's Gambit? He's probably
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
But
he's okay
in
in that.
this one, in the Dream Within the Dream, he's already a despicable person in my book.
Because he's mean to his son.
Yes, but you'll
Yes.
see. Anyways, um,
Oh.
so all the good people, so-called good guys, are not good. So I feel like it humanizes the Lo Yining's character, and you almost start feeling sorry. Not almost, you definitely start feeling more sympathy towards him. I mean, also the poor guy can't kill her. Let's just face it, right? It's it's
Mm-hmm.
it's hilarious whenever he tries to kill her. There was a whole episode, episode 4, where the whole episode was like a Looney Tunes
Yes.
episode.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
very well done.
My
So
8-year-old enjoyed that very much. She thought it was hilarious. I told you, I was like, oh, so this is the target market because my 8-year-old
yes,
was
yes, but it
cracking
was
up.
very well done, right? You can't always do this sort of comedy in real life, but this was like well done.
Yeah, it
Um,
was very well done.
so what was I saying? Oh, you start feeling bad for him because what you realize is that there's more to the story, and I hope that's where they're going. It seems that's the direction, which is it's gonna tell you basically he's not as bad as everyone thinks, but he's just kind of like what was it, the fall guy or the scapegoat you called it for
Mm-hmm.
everyone else, right? Like anything bad happens, it's his fault,
Yeah, they
right?
just blame
Anything
him for
good,
without
like
even without evidence. Yeah.
yeah, and the female lead is exactly the same. So for now, I can't stand her, right? Because I'm like, I'm just waiting for her. It's almost like watching Feud, where you're waiting for Bailu's character to admit that she's wrong, right. You're just like, I'm just waiting for her to put her head out of her ass because that's what it
Mm,
feels like.
yeah.
You can sort of see hints of it. Why I don't like the second male lead is because his head is firmly up. His likes it, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
any sense.
Well, he doesn't think he's in the wrong. He's
No,
like you said, he's very righteous and
yeah.
I wouldn't say it's his fault. I would say that his perspective is driven by like his experiences. And then, as I'm watching this, I also question like, is Lo Yining like the actor, like her, stuck in the script, or is he truly just the character, if that makes any sense? Because
I know what
because
you're saying.
I was like, because if you think about the overall like world building they've done, like every character has a very specific perspective based on events that happen to them. And so as the female lead is trying to survive, or not scheme, but she's trying to navigate it. I feel like she's adopting those perspectives because she doesn't have her own perspective. But then I wonder, like, oh, what is his perspective? I don't think that's been revealed yet as of episode 8 when I'm watching it.
But he
So
doesn't act like someone who's transmigrated from, the real
yeah,
world into, at least,
He
right?
doesn't. Yeah, right.
Right? But he
Yeah.
definitely has more humanistic sides to him now that you see his alter ego. And I like the fact that Riley Wang, we
Mm,
both joked about the fact that he's playing exactly the same CP fan character that we liked in Back from the Brink,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I was like, oh, he's a matchmaker again.
Yes, yes. It's really funny, but I'm like, I hope it doesn't take 12 more episodes for her to figure out. That's another thing. I'm like, I guess the script can finesse it any way it wants because it's saying it's a script and it's a bad script at that, right? It basically says she fell into a bad script,
Hmm.
right? With all the bad tropes and illogic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can't actually, that it makes it's like armor for the show itself, the real show, because anything that's bad you can just be like, oh, because they're in a bad script, it's a poorly written script, that's why,
Right.
right? So you can't find fault with it as so far, so it waits to be seen what they actually
Yeah.
do with the story, because
Yeah.
I'm like, how is she so dumb? And I think you said the same thing, right, when you got to the part of like, of not even suspecting that Lo Yining's character, his alter ego, is the same guy as he. Like, there's not that many guys who are built like Lo Yining and who look
Like that
like,
tall.
move like that way. Yeah, who are that
Yeah.
tall and who move like him and sound like him. It's not like he disguised his voice, right? He
No.
just covered his face.
Right.
Um. So yeah, it's not even like Cobra Commander face. It's just like a, like a
Like a
mask,
COVID
like a,
mask.
yeah, COVID mask. So,
Oh no, he put a little like red like face tattoo, whatever, to like
to cover his mole.
embellish. I don't know.
No, to
Oh,
cover his
maybe.
eye mole. He
Oh
has a
yeah,
mole on his left eye.
yes. You're right, you're
So,
right.
but
Um
come on, doesn't that draw even more if she's supposed to be
attention.
this smart, right? Like,
Yeah.
did you get to the
Mm.
part where she basically hires him to kill himself?
No. Not
Okay, so
I
that's
think
coming
she
up. It's not a
oh,
spoiler, okay? It
yeah.
basically is. So I'm up to that where she's basically like trying to. She's like, you to go kill this guy. Like we're in it together, and he's like, oh man, I'm being hired to kill myself, right? And he's like waiting for her to commit him. He's like, where the hell is she? Like his attendant's like, oh my god, I've never seen anyone so eager to get killed. Like he's like, what kind of idiotic assassins are these? They can't even be on time. They got to kill me. So
I
yeah,
will say, you know how you said that he becomes more humanesque, or he's more humanized.
humanized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
humanized. I think I that's how I felt by the time I got to episode 10 or 11 in the Princess's Gambit, because they're, in the forest, like they come upon these villagers, and then there's like a rumor how awful he is, and everyone starts off by just call him the treacherous chancellor. Like that's like his nickname. Like they don't even call him by his name, and he just has to like take it. Like he's sitting there, and like you can hear like them like bad mouthing him, and they have legitimate reasons for bad mouthing him.
Mm-hmm.
But what you don't glean in that scene is like, did he actually do it? And then he was like framed for it, like, or people rumored that he's the cause of it, because later on they're like, is he a good guy or a bad guy? And then that's where you start seeing like, okay, the morally gray character is not as morally gray. But anyways, yeah, it makes a difference, right? When you're watching these men play like you call paper villains, and then you're like, do I have to watch this? Like, how long is it going to take me to get to the part where I'm like, okay, you're not as terrible as people made you out to be.
Yeah, cut 10 episodes from both shows. Maybe it'll be better. Like the pacing is the problem. Like way too much time spent on setup,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
getting to where you're gonna like care. Maybe because they're banking on the wow factor and the visuals and the fan bases to like watch these. But I know I'm not. I don't dislike Lo Xueyi, but I'm not big enough of. Yeah, I love watching my man doing this menacing look, But again, I must reiterate, I do actually have an issue with him being a villain. Like, it's not the villain aspect of the character that turned me off. It's the
Interpretation, you said.
yeah. It's I don't want to say
Or
it's his
delivery?
acting.
Maybe it's the delivery.
Yeah, it's like you say, it might be the director's fault, the overacting. Or like
Yeah.
like the beginning part of Kill Me Love Me, it was over the top, man,
I mean,
with the
you
crazy
almost
music.
didn't you finish that one?
No, I
I
sped
never.
through the rest, and I said it
Yeah,
got better later, but because,
yeah,
you saw that he's pretending to be crazy
right.
and mad, right? And then it became, and most people hated the turn because they're like, we wanted crazy, but you gave us mellow country life, like
You know, there's actually a lot of comparisons between Princess Gambit to Kill Me Love Me
I think
because
I suspect
both
it's
the
similar.
female leads have poison. They have this poison and they have to take a monthly antidote. So I don't know how that's going to get resolved here because her antidote is coming from that evil empress from her motherland. And then
Mhm.
what was it? Oh yeah, and then the country life. Like people are like suddenly
Yeah,
they're in the countryside.
yeah,
So there were a lot of
exactly.
people comparing like, wait, but then people are like, oh, it's from a novel. So you could argue it's completely coincidental, but yeah.
Coincidental yet both starring Lo Xueyi. Just like Liu Yining's playing basically a similar character, almost in temperament to his character in the previous show we just watched, right?
Yeah, Prisoner of Beauty. And then a sidekick is the same actor, like the
Yes.
bearded guy. I was like, what is happening here? Like what like
It's a
like
lot of like,
these casting directors.
it's
What are they
confusing.
doing?
It's convenient probably, right? They're all shooting there, they get along, good type of role, that dynamic, so they just grab the same people along. But then they air the two shows back to the back, and you're just like, well, I guess Prisoner of Beauty was on Tencent, right? So yeah, so that's the problem. You just kind of
Yeah,
like, you saw the same duo.
with the
It's like
same chemistry, the same kinds of
yeah,
interaction. Yeah.
yes, yes. So
I mean, I'm
anyway,
not
so
complaining. I like it yet. So
yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest. I have asked you this before. If you took off your Lo Xueyi rose tinted lenses, right?
mhm.
How much would it affect your viewing pleasure
I
of the
told you I
Princess
probably
Gambit?
well, I did say it depends on who if they cast a different male actor, who would it be? I
Mm-hmm.
think I already told you this type of character is not the most savory to watch. So if you don't at least halfway like the guy, it could be like a really good unsavory actor, but then if you don't like the actor, then I probably wouldn't last very long. I will say that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I couldn't even get past episode 2 of Kill Me Love Me. So I can't say that it's Lucy rose-colored glasses, but I do like him in this one. Like I didn't have a problem with his acting or delivery. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Not really,
I
but yeah, I get what
not
you're saying. You
I think
enjoy
I'm
his
continuing
interpretation.
probably yes, he's part of the pleasure of watching. I will say that.
Yeah. Whereas for
Yeah.
me, I don't have that pull for me, and I'm not a fan of. So I'm not anti-fan. She doesn't do it for me. I mean, she didn't even do it for me in Blossom. Everyone loved Blossom, right? I'm just like, okay, it's kind of like very vanilla, and I'm a chocolate, or
Yeah.
Rocky. What is it? Rocky Mountain? No, Rocky Road. Anything but
Well,
vanilla.
there was a rumor that Lucy was gonna do a drama with that girl. What's her name? The really young girl from the double. She's not.
Tiny.
I mean, yeah, she's like only
Yeah.
16, 17
Yeah.
now. But I was like, oh, had they cast her, not when she's actually 18. I thought
Yeah.
that would actually have been. This would have been a good script for those two because the age difference would have been similar to the novel. but I still feel like a younger presenting actress would have played this type of character maybe I think a little bit more convincingly because again, the stories in the novel she's very like she uses the seduction and I feel like I don't think this actress is trying to do that. She's actually trying to be anti-seductive towards him.
Like too pure.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it's not as believable because she's so desperate to stay alive. Like you would try to like seduce him, which would make sense, right? Like what else can you offer him, right? As a concubine. But like she's not playing that way. So I don't know if that's a script writing problem. So
Censorship, right? It wouldn't
yeah.
pass censorship. You can't
Yeah.
play it that way,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Which is a
And
shame
and
because I
she,
think that's what the original fans probably wanted more than
that and
anything.
also you wouldn't pick Munzi, I think, to play that type of character. She doesn't exude like it would be like a Wang Churan to exude that
Yeah.
kind of sexiness,
I
right?
told
Because in
you
Are
I
You
would
the
like
One,
yeah. I
right?
told you I would like to see Lo Xueyi with one Churan in something. I don't know what, but I don't think there's anything
Let him
out
not be
there.
menacing. Let him be adult. No, just kidding.
He's been sort of doltish and I didn't get very far but in that show What If, this drama What If that came out like last year. I don't know how successfully it was because I don't see people talking about it, but he plays like a normal guy, like living a normal life and I'm like and I told you I was like his acting is actually different in that because he's normal. Like he's not over what do you call it? Overacting or indulging in certain things. Like he's like actually like a little too normal. It's a very slice of life kind of acting. But I like that
Yes.
show. I would continue it. The female lead was cute in that. Just haven't had time.
Hmm. How many
Mm.
shows do you have on the iron? You Be Passionately in Love. Is it still being passionately not in love? Or
I
not
am
passionately
still
in love?
I pause at episode 12. I need to resume. I have too many unfinished shows.
Well, this is your problem,
No
not mine.
time.
I told you. I like how you're like, I'm gonna finish all of these shows. I'm like, uh-huh, you are.
Like, in 2 weeks there's gonna be another show coming out that we're gonna watch.
Well, there actually might be nothing to watch. So, I'm going back to finishing Seven Relics before the next show that I actually want to watch comes out. But in the meantime, I do look forward to turning for the not just pure comedy that is, every now and then interesting, but otherwise no story. Because I want to see Lo Yining's character get his just desserts in a good way, not in a bad way.
Hmm.
And I want
I
her to
want
pull her head out of the ass. So.
Yeah, I want her to not be so zany in every episode. Like,
You actually don't
I
want it
f-
to be this zany? I was gonna
I-
say, one thing the show is consistent in is that every episode has a zany set piece where you're
yeah.
just like,
Oh, yes, and they're hilarious. I mean, I've laughed so many times, but they're very specific scenes, and they're not really helping the plot progress necessarily. It's just
yeah,
like I would feel like the script writers had fun, like coming up with these ideas, or like I said, there were a lot of inside
yes,
jokes about how to
yes.
write certain scenes, and I appreciate that, like, because I feel like sometimes you don't ever get to, you know, experience that. But um I think right now she's still too much like scheming. I feel like she has never taken a breather to be like, wait a minute, like, am I going about this the wrong way? Like you feel like she's
Yeah.
always like a fast train that just keeps chugging along really quickly and never pauses to be like, maybe I'm approaching this the wrong way, or you know,
She's
like you
too
said, tunnel
unquestioning.
vision. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So that's the only part where I'm kind of like, if I'm in a world like this, I would question things more than just rely on my memory of the script because yeah, it just yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anyways, with that, yeah. So ends my thoughts for the day or night. Um,
mm,
yes, we'll see if I ever slog through this show. I definitely think you know what, I think I'll slog through Seven Relics, not slog, finish Seven Relics before the end of these two shows, to be honest.
probably. I can see that.
Yes. It's a very
Yeah.
compelling show to watch when you get into different arcs of the story. But so definitely, again, I'm gonna make another it. If you haven't watched Seven Relics, go watch it. All seven pieces of bacon will be and and I guess my recommendation is check out both of these costume dramas, see which one you like. I think if you're like Elle, you're a big Xueyi fan, it would definitely help with the enjoyment factor on the Princess Gambit. And just expect that you're gonna have to get past where I got to, which is episode 8, right? I think 10 is where 10,
Mm-hmm.
12 is where you say makes it less
Mm-hmm.
theatrical or over the
Yeah.
top, paper thin, but over the top. Whereas A Dream with a Dream, give it some, again, maybe 6 to 8 episodes to see if you care to see where it's going, because there's not much plot momentum in the beginning.
No, it's just comedy, like really
Yes.
funny scenes that help. But yeah, at that point, I think if you're talking about the characters, it's like not that interesting. So yeah, I'm hoping it gets better too.
Yeah. All right. With that, then, may our
Until next
hopes and
time.
dreams come true, or that too.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.